I was in low Earth orbit and I realized how illuminated I was up in the cupola, and the fact that that was not direct sunlight. It's designed to be shielded from sunlight coming in. And it hit me. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm being bathed in Earth light.
Dr. Sian Proctor, thank you so much for joining me today. It is such a privilege and honor to have you on T-Minus. I'm just thrilled to have you here. I know we want to talk about this incredible collaboration that you've done with SpaceCom because it's the event happening next week. Can you tell me a little bit about how this beautiful collaboration came about?
Well, actually, SpaceCom reached out to me, and you can imagine my surprise when they did. And we came together and talked about the fact that I'm the first artist selected to go to space, that I got to paint in space, and that I have this really unique story in that I'd been chasing space my entire life. And then I ended up getting there in such a non-conventional way.
Your story is incredibly inspirational to so many of us. I mean, it feels very cliche to say, but I'm also an artist. You went to space as an artist. You bring that back to your work it's very meaningful to me personally. When you went on Inspiration 4, I was still very locked down with a kid who couldn't be vaccinated yet. So just seeing you and your crew being so free in space, it just gave me so much hope. And I know the mission was also a lot about hope and children too. So, oh my goodness. I'm a little verklempt to speak to you about this. Can we talk a little bit about the design that you made and your process behind it? Because your work is so stunning. I'm looking at it right now. Solving for space is solving for Earth. The figure in the middle, I'm a bit all over the place. Please tell me about your design.
Yeah, that phrase, solving for space is solving for Earth, has been with me for, over a decade. And it really came out of me living in a NASA-funded Mars simulation for 4 months. And so back in 2013, I was part of the High Seas mission on the Big Island of Hawaii. It's a habitat that's a Mars analog, and I was part of the very first crew to live in that habitat. When I was going through that, I realized that a lot of what we were doing was solving for Earth while we were thinking about humanity living on Mars and what it will mean for us when we go back to the moon and on to Mars, and how everything that we're doing, particularly around human spaceflight, is really solving for a lot of the challenges here on Earth. And so for the last over a decade, that's been part of my messaging. And so when I got Inspiration 4 and became a space artist during COVID, I started thinking about how I wanted to represent, the future of humanity in space and the type of messaging that would really resonate with my art. And so it just made sense to bring that message and my art together.
Can you tell me about Earthlight? I was reading on your website about this, and it's so fascinating.
Yeah, I went to space. I'm a geoscience professor who, became a space artist during COVID. And then it won me a seat to space because I wrote a poem, but I had been chasing space my entire life. I know that the Earth has a high reflectivity. But when I got to space and I was in this amazing cupola, this continuous window that was on top of our Dragon capsule so that we could see the Earth, I realized that I was being bathed in Earth light. And I'd been fascinated by the overview effect before going to space. And I was wondering, why is it that astronauts can be in space and have this transformative experience, but yet you can show people a picture of our planet from space here on Earth and they won't be transformed in that same way. And so it got me as my scientist brain thinking, okay, is it because you're floating in space, because you're adapting to space? What is it that causes this, transformative shift? And then I was in low Earth orbit and I realized how illuminated I was up in the cupola, and the fact that that was not direct sunlight. It's designed to be shielded from sunlight coming in. And it hit me. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm being bathed in Earth light. And I'm like, this is the most amazing light ever. And as an artist, that's where I think the connection came, because I was looking at the planet and I was like, oh my goodness, it's stunningly beautiful and bright, and it's a portrait in motion and all of these things. And then I'm like, whoa, I'm being illuminated. I'm being bathed in Earth light. This is the most beautiful light there is. And it just hit me that we learn about sunlight, we learn about moonlight, but we don't learn about the most magical, life-giving light that there is, and that's Earth light. life would not exist if it wasn't for Earth light. Our planet fundamentally takes sunlight, the full electromagnetic spectrum, and as soon as it starts getting into the Earth's magnetic sphere and atmosphere, our planet strips a lot of that harmful radiation away. And by the time it gets down to us, it's fundamentally been changed. It's not sunlight anymore, it's Earth light. So we live in Earth light.
It's romantic in its own way, and it's beautiful and powerful. So much about many artists, like the conversation is often about capturing that light and trying to get that. And what an amazing thing to have, and that experience. And as an artist, having that journey with you to go, I'm always going to be, I have that with me. I've experienced it. And I'm also going to be sharing that vision and chasing that light. What an amazing, amazing thing. And what an incredible gift. Going back to the beautiful design that you made, can you tell me a bit about this mission and also why it's so important to you?
When I came back from space, and, our mission was all about giving back. We did a $200 million fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. In the end, we raised closer to $250 million to help end childhood cancer. And I thought about my role in not only that, but also in the fact that I've been a community college professor for now 26 years. A lot of people don't realize this, that I've never worked in the space industry. I've been a geoscience professor. I am still a full-time geoscience professor. I learned so much about being a community college professor in particular, and how the community college is the hidden gem of education. I can have a 17-year-old who just graduated from high school sitting next to a 65-year-old who is a grandmother who hasn't been in school in 50 years and is eager to get back and to learn. And you've got to teach everyone. And there's not a lot of resources given to the community college. There's a lot for K-12. There's a lot for university and Research One institutions. And I thought about the impact that space has had in my life. So I started the Proctor Foundation for Art and Science. Our goal is to give community college students and faculty experiential learning opportunities. And the first one that we've developed is a partnership with SpaceCom. And so my foundation sends community college students and teachers to SpaceCom, where they can go and have this experience. And I really have a focus towards the humanities. Anybody can apply, whether you're a science major or humanities major, business major, but I really want to focus on the people who are non-STEM to some extent, because I want them to know that they have a place in space waiting for them. Their superpower as a business person or a lawyer or an artist or whatever their passion is, that we need those skills in space exploration.
You are really speaking my language as a communicator and as a person who's not a STEM person. I really, really appreciate you saying that so much. To me, you truly are a polymath. You have so many different perspectives and areas of expertise that I can only imagine how it informs each other in your mind. For those of us who are humanities folks, what do you want us to know about how space can inform what we do? I mean, again, as an artist and a scientist and an explorer, I mean, what do you want us to know?
Well, there's two things to this. One is that there is art in science and there is science in art. And so I really want those STEM people, those science, technology, engineering, and math individuals to recognize and acknowledge the art that is in what they're doing. The beautiful designs. The Dragon capsule is a work of art and beauty. Mm-hmm. So is the Falcon 9 rocket. And realizing that you can have, functional, purpose-built items, and they can still be works of art and beauty in there, and being able to see that and acknowledge that creativity that enabled you to design and build things that impact humanity in such a magnificent way. And then for the artists out there and the humanities, I want you to realize that there is science in what you do. Like whether it's the music you're listening to and the mathematics behind music, or if it's the painting and the art that you're doing, knowing that color is, light, and that, our eyes have been designed as energy detectors. We see the world around us through color, and color is energy, and really kind of like understanding that there's really amazing science in that. And when we look at all of the majors or careers or things that people have a passion for, they involve both art and science in magical, beautiful ways. And then the other thing is that, my call sign is Leo. So if you look at my patch here, it's Dr. Sian Leo Proctor. And so when we went through fighter jet training, I was given my call sign. And it's you go through a naming ceremony, and it was amazing because they sit you down in a chair and you have your family and your friends and your crew around you. And they're like, you can't say anything. And people stand up and basically nominate names for you. And so somebody stood up and said, I think she should be called Picasso because she's an artist. And everybody was like, Picasso, oh, that's cool, And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, Picasso. The next person stood up and goes, no, Sian is not a Picasso. She is an artist and a scientist. She is a modern day Leonardo da Vinci. And everybody went, oh, Leonardo. And then they said, her call sign will be Leo.
Love that. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so true. Oh, what a great name. So wonderful to be seen and acknowledged by the community, by your community for all the amazing talents that you bring to bear too. It's so beautiful. I know that my time with you is coming to a close and I don't want to take more time than I have. I just have to ask what you're excited about in terms of what's happening in space and the space industry right now. I'm so curious to hear your thoughts, like what's really got you jazzed?
Oh man, I feel so fortunate to be alive during this new era of space exploration. It's so exciting to think about, humanity going back to the moon, putting the first female footprints on the moon and the first person of color, and then us going to Mars and really figuring out how to not just survive off Earth, but to thrive. Because when we go and we figure out what is the best energy system for the moon and Mars, what is the best water recycling system, how do we use resources in these locations, all of these like really hard questions that need innovation and creativity to answer, all of that is going to be done here on Earth. All of that technology and knowledge is going to be spun off to make us more sustainable here because, there is no better planet in our solar system than Earth. Our ability to use human space exploration as a way to solve these wicked problems here so we can thrive. In the end, that is the goal. And I feel thrilled to be here and a part of it right now.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Sian Proctor. What an honor, honestly, to speak with you today. I really appreciate your time and you sharing your story with me a bit today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will leave you with two things. One is that the poem that won me a seat to space is called Space to Inspire. And when I talk about space to inspire, I'm not talking about outer space. I'm talking about this space, the space that makes you, you, how you can use your beautiful, unique space to inspire yourself and those around you and hopefully beyond. And so I just want to leave everybody with that message that go out there and use your beautiful, unique space to inspire yourself and those around you. And as you do that, let your earth light shine because we are all here because of earth light. Earth light is life. Thank you.